Hey, what's up, guys? It's Gutex. I got a very special treat for you guys today. It's the fighting game panel that I moderated at PAX East this past weekend. It's chock full of FGC luminaries like Alex Valle from Level Up, Alex Jabali from CEO, James Chen from Ultra Chen TV, Mark Man from Mad Cats, and Spooky from Team Spooky. We talk about the growth of the FGC as well as how to get more people involved, and there's also a Q&A session at the end that you don't want to miss. But first, I gotta ask you, we've all seen 3D in the movies, but did you know that YouTubers are doing it too? One of the best 3D creators is named Tompo, and he's done some awesome stuff like Super Mario Brothers and swinging a machete, and now he wants new ideas for his next video. What I would love to see in 3D is obviously Street Fighter V. If Street Fighter V can just take the amazing graphics that they showed off at the PS4 launch event with the Panta-Ray engine and just apply that to Street Fighter 4 and then put on some 3D goggles that they can just distribute with the game, I hope that they're this big. That would be amazing. Anyways, click here to check out Tompo and leave a comment with your own 3D request and subscribe so you can see what he chooses. And now please enjoy the FGC panel from PAX East 2013. My name is Gutex, and first I would like to introduce everybody and then give you guys kind of a rundown. We're going to be having a little discussion about the fighting game community, and then we'll open it up for questions. We are shocked, amazed, and humbled by the amount of people that have showed up, so thank you. Anyways, my name is... Thank you. So my name is Gutex, and I'm the CEO of Cross Counter TV, which is the entertainment network for fighting game fans. We have a pretty large YouTube channel, been running events and producing shows like Cross Counter Live, Excellent Adventures, all kinds of things since about 2010. To my left, I have fighting game legend and president of Level Up Series, Mr. Alex Valle.
I can't follow that.
And to his left is another Alex, Mr. Alex Jabali, who is the founder and the director of CEO Gaming in Orlando. And another fighting game legend to his left.
I'm not named Alex.
Mr. James Chen, one half of Ultra Chen TV. James and his partner, Ultra David, of course, you can catch them quite frequently on some of Level Up's productions, as well as most of the Road to Evo events, including Evo itself. And then next we have Mark Julio, who is the global sponsorship and community manager for Mad Cats. And then
I just want to say thanks for coming, guys.
Go Hori.
And then to his left, finally, all the way over there, is Spooby himself, Mr. Victor Fontanez, a.k.a. Spooky, the president of broadcasting and consulting firm Team Spooky.
What's up, guys? What's going on? Thanks for coming. Is it on?
So basically, this panel is going to be about the growth of fighting games thus far and how we can grow it together and build something that I think everybody enjoys into something that's much bigger. So I'm just going to lead it off with an open-ended question. Alex, when fighting games first started, quite some time ago, there were tournaments, and then there was a golden... a dead area, nothing really happened. And now with the resurrection of fighting games with Street Fighter 4, we've seen so much growth in the community just in the past several years. How do we take it to the next level? We see League of Legends and StarCraft and all these other games have, way larger numbers, but I think we have more hype. How do we grow this community?
Thank you for that. First and foremost, the support starts with you. If you love these games, you got to show others that you do. And if you come to the events, it's addicting to others. It's like, wow, you have so much passion for something you love and you play and you share it. You don't have to be great at the game. It's just a matter of what you can do with your talent if there's some in front of you, or just because you want to spend time with another person. It just starts right there. And I can go forever on this topic, but I think that's the most important thing, is just to show up. And then the next, of course, is the exposure, because now everybody wants to watch it on streams. Everybody wants to get, who really are the best players. You know, who can commentate this pretty well, who understands the game, the knowledge, where can games evolve. There's just so many facets of the beauty of the fighting game community. It's all organic. It's all our passion. So support starts with you.
Alex,
Could you please repeat the question?
how do we as a community take it to the next level? How do we get these StarCraft or League of Legends numbers? How do we get more sponsorships, more events, more people? How do we get events from the 500-person attendance level to 5,000?
I think we're honestly getting there. We're on our way. Especially as EVO grows every year, it brings more worldwide attention to the events. And now that there's so many other great events throughout the year all over the world, it just like Vi said, you got to attend these events. You got to share it with your friends. You got to have fun. All these games, they're really easy to get into compared to a MOBA or a PC game. You got to buy, a $1,000 computer, get all that equipment. All it takes is like $300 to get yourself, if you don't have a console, to get yourself into a fighting game. So to get into it, it's very easy. And once you play with a couple of your buddies, that addiction just grows. The more you compete with each other, wanting to beat each other. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Our production levels are getting better. So I think we're doing the right things now. It's just going to keep growing. Just we need to get more eyes on it, and I think we're heading there.
James?
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like wondering where our community can go is kind of the wrong question to ask ourselves. I think the right question, honestly, to ask is where do we want it to go? Because we can sit there and chase all these other games out there all the time, but you know what? Their model is not our model. The fighting game community is distinct, it's unique. The people who create the fighting game community, we have so much history and so much, passion in this. So to me, honestly, we're in control of this community, to be honest with you. Everybody in this room is in control of this community. So it really comes down to is where do we want it to go? And that's the thing that we're all trying to figure out right now. That's what we're all trying to discover, and why people like Mark, is working with Mad Cats to help promote this, why Spooky is doing all the streaming and everyone's running events and stuff like that. I think we're in control of our destiny, and we, as, there's a lot of leaders in our community. We really need to figure out exactly where we want it to go. And from there, I think we can build something awesome from there. But like I said, I don't want to chase other models. I want to create our own model for this whole thing.
Well said, James. And kind of touch upon what James said, I think we should really focus on what we want to do. And at Mad Cats, as a representative of Mad Cats, my key focus is to make things bigger and better for everyone and try to involve more people. And it's been that way for the past 3 years. Since the advent of Street Fighter 4, when we got involved in this business and started supporting you guys, that has been my number one goal. And I think we have achieved that. And I'm sure these guys would agree that Mad Cats is probably one of the biggest supporters of the fighting game community. And it's not just by sponsoring players. It's not just by making arcade sticks, trying to make money. The important thing is that we're actually giving you guys more possibilities to get to events, to represent at events, and to actually build a community and actually be friends with people and enjoy this stuff. And I'm proud of where we're at. If you look at EVO, which is obviously our biggest event of the year, we have the biggest competitive gaming environment in the world. There is no event that comes close to having this many live competitors at an event, and I think that's something we should all be proud of. So, that's all I have to say. We're just going to keep doing our shit to make good shit.
All right, what's up, guys? So I wanna generally agree with especially James Chen and Mark, but before I give my actual opinion on this, I want to talk about a recent company in esports that you guys may know had a big failure, and that's IPL. They had their IPL Fighters League, which completely, as we know, is no more. And not only that, but IPL, the entire Pro League, is gone along with it. And that's just one question that I want to put out there to people. One of the most important things that I've noticed in the fighting game community, especially pre-2006 and before Street Fighter 4, is a lack of communication, which is something that's very important when you have, community in the word fighting game community. Obviously, communication and collaboration is the most important factor. And if people want things to grow, they need to understand that you can't do it by yourself. You have to combine the power of everybody else that knows what they're doing and get it to that point. And you also can't rush your way into it. Just because you have investment funds does not mean that you should spend them immediately and just throw them out at things. Instead, you should continue to build and grow what's being created until it goes to where it is. The biggest long-standing tournaments go on for years and years. Evolution, as an example, Final Round, even Big Aries tournaments, NEC, NCR, SCR. These are long-running things that have been created and built bit by bit. So instead of chasing the dream and trying to rush into it, we should instead communicate, collaborate, and continue to build what we're working on.
So, Spooky, speaking about collaboration and communication, what are some of your favorite collaborations that you've done?
Oh, well, honestly, I enjoy working with pretty much everyone within the scene. Some of my favorite stuff, of course, is the Evolution Tournament Series and Final Round. But I enjoy all types of collaboration. And as you guys know, Team Spooky, as a stream, we don't just produce fighting game content, but we have many classic gaming content, all that stuff. And what I most enjoy about that is, putting the people together, even when there are miscommunications and there are two guys that say, oh, these guys hate each other now. They can't stand each other. They despise each other. I love talking to those guys and saying, hey, what's wrong? Tell me what's going on. And putting them back together so that we can continue to build things up.
Well, collaboration is extremely important. Everybody starts from the bottom, okay? And that's where you get the most experience by trial and error. And as Spooky said, you can't just do it on your own. You try, but if you're not getting the funding immediately, how is it going to happen, right? And then once you think you figure it out, there's still another hurdle. Now everybody else wants to do their own thing, and it's a lot of mouths to feed. And there's ways to think about it that way. But how we started organically is we built our own weekly events. On top of that, we added another day. And on top of that, we started to do showcase scenarios for industry like Sega, Namco, Mad Catz, etc. So, our collaboration nationwide kind of went to a standstill because we had to take care of a lot. We started thinking, okay, fighting game community is one aspect, but how can we integrate it with other facets of the gaming industry? And that's kind of the focus that we're at now.
Now, Jabali, as Alex mentioned, it's not just about the fighting game community anymore. Now we have to interact with other communities. Tell us a little about some of your experiences with CEO and how that came about.
Basically with CEO, have any of you heard of CEO? Give me a cheer if you have. Okay. All right.
They know you. You.
Just making sure. I've been a gamer of all genres my entire life. I don't just play fighting games, but my biggest connections with other human beings has been because of fighting games and just the people I've met. So I try to bring a spectator experience to CEO to get more people that might be a little scared to compete in the games because it's a little over daunting when you come to a big tournament and you see Japanese players, people from all over the world that play this, live, eat, and breathe these games. So as a spectator, I want to have people enjoy watching these events as well because a lot of events, people just like to watch stuff now. They get entertained by it. If you're into Marvel comics, you're going to love watching Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So my goal is to not only focus on the players and the competitors first, but I want everybody to realize how much fun it is to watch these games. So I've collaborated with a lot of different events, and I've met people in the eSports world, and working with you guys on all of our events, just passing along ideas and stuff. There's so much we can share with each other, and we have been doing that. So I see you just got to keep that growing, basically.
Now, James, Alex focuses so much on the in-person experience of the event, but the other component and the way that I think a lot of the growth can be attributed to is the stream. Now, as a commentator, how important or what do you think the ultimate goal of the stream and the commentators should be?
Well, to be honest with you, in order to make this grow as big as possible, it really does come down to the spectators. It's like Vi was saying earlier, we really can't do this without everybody out here, who's interested in what it is that we like to do. And so as a commentator, my goal is to spread this to as many people as possible. We need to, I've said this a million times before, I love fighting games to death, right? And I love playing them, and when I watch players like Justin Wong and such play, what they do is so genius and so amazing. The talent level is unparalleled. People who don't know fighting games don't know just how talented these players are. And so my goal is to try to, as a commentator, help people understand what makes these guys so special, and to help everybody who's watching it really appreciate what it is that, these guys do. And so, it's really just about trying to spread the audience as much as possible, get as many people interested as we can. And so, as a commentator, that's basically what I'm trying to do, is just help people get into the game and understand the game.
Now, going forward, though, you've transitioned not just from doing commentary, but also to doing more educational shows with Ultra Chen TV. Tell us a little bit about the importance of educating the player base.
Well, I mean, one of the parallels that I always like to draw to is the poker scene. There was at one point when Chris Moneymaker, he won the World Series of Poker, and it kind of created this poker boom. And everyone's thought, oh, you know what, I can play poker too. I can win like Chris Moneymaker. And the greatest thing about it is, a lot of people can say, oh, I want to learn poker. Okay, go read Dan Harrington's book, right? He's got a great poker book out there. Go read this other book. The funny thing about the fighting game community is there's nothing out there that's educating people from the basic level, from the lowest level possible. And so, that was one of the goals that I had with the First Attack show that I do, is I had shows literally where I'm trying to teach people how to throw fireballs. That's, to me, is something important, because, to be honest with you, like, people are going to watch, and as they watch, the more enjoyment they get out of it, at some point they're going to be like, you know what, I want to try playing this too. Because that's what happens when you watch poker on TV or you watch basketball. Everyone starts throwing, trash at the trash can and stuff like that. Everyone wants to play. So, my goal is to try to help people learn the game, because honestly, fighting games are not easy to play. And so, I'm trying my best to make it easier for them.
Do you think that if we have a larger player base of educated players, even if they're not competing on a tournament level, that still helps the entire scene grow, because more people can appreciate the games when they're being streamed?
Yeah, I mean, when you watch Sports Center highlights and you see someone do like some crazy slam dunk or someone score a goal in hockey or something, nobody needs to tell you that what they did was awesome, but when you see fighting games, a lot of the times people are like, wait, I don't get it. They're just button mashing, right?
You need a trained eye.
Yeah. And so I would like to get it to the point where you can show highlights and people will just understand inherently that it takes a lot of talent and a lot of intelligence to accomplish what they're accomplishing.
Now, Mark, one of the things that James mentioned was the poker model. Now, in poker, you have different companies that sponsor particular players, but Mad Catz has taken the team approach. What are some of the benefits of sponsoring a team versus individual players, or do you think that Mad Catz's responsibility is to sponsor players, or tell us a little bit about sponsorship? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. You guys got me.
Well, it's okay.
You guys make me a little nervous, just FYI.
It's all the beautiful people out there, that's why. But yeah, sponsorship in general, you mentioned it's more like a team approach. Really, to me, it's not. It's supporting and making things bigger and better for the community. When we first started sponsoring people, we sponsored Daigo back in 2010, and I thought that was a big step for us, getting him to more events. And he did travel to more events, but we didn't want to stop there. What are you raising your hands for, Jabali?
Daigo came to CEO.
He's not coming this year. But yeah,
he didn't win last year anyways.
Then Mad Catz isn't going to be there either.
Hold on, let me call Hori.
I have their number. Anyways, so sponsorship is really important to us. The fact that we're able to build a subculture of just fans of Arcade 6. How many people out there are fans of Arcade 6? Cool. I like you guys then. But just that, and I've seen people go to events, bringing their Arcade 6 and getting players to sign them. I think a lot of people might think that's lame, but I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool. I don't know how it makes you guys feel, but seeing the fan interaction and the best part is these guys, everyone in the community except for maybe Jabali, is very approachable. And that's something that is really near and dear to my heart. And I like supporting stuff like that. I like supporting players. I like supporting teams, streams, events. And at Mad Cats, we want to do as much as we can. I mean, we don't have unlimited money, but we have enough money to be able to help people and kind of inspire them to do more and spread the word about what they're doing for not just their local scene, but for just the fighting game scene in general. And we're going to continue to do stuff like that. So sponsorship at madcats.com if you need to hit us up.
Now, Mark, for people out there wondering, I think there's a lot of players out there that would be seeking sponsorship. What does Mad Cats look for when it comes to sponsoring a player or an event?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, it's really all about exposure to me. It doesn't matter if they win, but luckily enough, the players we've sponsored are people that win. It really is how they interact with their fans, how they interact with the community in general, whether or not they go to events. Because, I mean, we do everything that we can in order to make sure that they get their exposure, but we want them to do the same thing, that they interact with the community and they give back some as well. I mean, it's not about wins. So, I mean, just because you've never won a tournament match doesn't mean we won't sponsor you. Okay, wait, we probably won't sponsor you, but we would definitely try to help you any way we can.
So does that mean, like, do I have to build a Twitter following? Do I need to build a YouTube channel?
I think if someone is aspiring to be a player and to get sponsored, they probably should. I mean, promotion is very important, and that goes a long way. At the end of the day, we could sponsor everyone if we wanted, but if we're not selling arcade sticks, fight pads, or anything like that, then what are we doing it for? I mean, I hate to bring money into the equation, but that's what it's all about. See, you guys know. You guys know, but I mean, luckily, most people have a good head on their shoulders and they're able to promote. I mean, you guys got some of the best promoters here on the stage right now, and you guys already know. So, take it away, Spooky.
Spooky, tell us a little bit about sponsorship on the streams. How important is community support, either through donations or ad revenue or through direct sponsorship from companies like Mad Cats? How important is that in order for you and your team to continue doing what you guys do?
Well, the way I see it, sponsorship is like an investment. When Mad Cats sponsors an event or sponsors a person, they're investing, their time and their money in that person. And it's the same with anything else. I kind of want to touch on what James Chen said before, which is about displaying, he wanted to display something that he thought was cool, that he wanted to see, which was, fighting games. And when I started my streams, it was the same way. I didn't really care about getting thousands and thousands of viewers or anything like that. I just said, hey, here's these guys I know. They're amazing fighting game players, and I want to put them out there and display them. But since then, things have really changed, and people are not just playing fighting games just to play fighting games anymore. People are making fighting games into their lives. And the same way that pretty much everybody else at this table has, I've now dedicated my lives to fighting games. I've quit my job completely. I travel around to pretty much every event, and that's what I do. And so knowing that, there were many struggles that I had within this time. And if early on someone had approached me and had given me some sponsorship, I think I could have grown much quicker. So knowing that, I feel that sponsorship is very important, and it's very important for us to grow, and the bigger companies involved in this, for them to invest in the players and in the other companies within the community and help them grow.
I think we should probably tell these people what we're doing then.
You tell me.
All right, so I wanted to announce then officially that Mad Cats is in a partnership with Team Spooky, and we're going to be working together more and more to bring more good stuff for the fighting game community. And I think... And I think it's very important that we have guys like Spooky, guys like James Chen, guys like Alex Vai, Alex Jabali. You're surprised I said your name, huh?
Yes, I am.
And Gutex involved in the community. So obviously, we've all worked together before. Mad Cats is no stranger to these guys, but I wanted to just give a shout out to Spooky because he's been doing a lot for everybody. So shout out to Spooky.
Shout out to Spooky.
Thanks, guys.
Also, I kind of wanted to add to this as well because, like I said, we're kind of doing this in a collaboration, the people running the fighting game community and the audience as well. I mean, there is something to be said. I mean, yeah, it's we're trying to make this all work, and it does require cooperation from people. So, I know there's like the whole $8.95 joke from like Canada Cup and such, and, a lot of people are accusing Lap Chi, who runs Canada Cup, of, trying to make a huge profit. I mean, he's lost money on every single event that he's ever done. I mean, not just like a little bit of money, he's lost a lot of money on these events. And so, it's kind of one of those situations where we have to start trying to figure out how to make it work. And so, people can only do these events for so long if they're losing a ton of money, because right now we're all doing it for the love. And so, at some point in time, we do have to figure out a good balance between, the people who produce these events and the people who are watching. So, it kind of does get to the point where, hopefully, we can, hopefully we can get to a point where a lot of the, a little bit more open mind about trying to help monetize the fighting game community. Because honestly, if it doesn't happen, then we aren't really going to be able to grow too strongly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of the hate in the community seems to come from this idea that if you are making money from fighting games, that is in some way wrong. But ultimately, if the people that are doing what they're doing, whether they're pro players or, although for some reason nobody cares that the pro players are winning thousands of dollars, like nobody has a problem with that. But if you're running the event or if you're making videos or producing content, for some reason that seems to be taboo if you're making money from it. The fact of the matter is, every single person on this on this panel, if they were to be making way more money doing what they were doing now, they would just be able to invest more into better equipment, more videos. Maybe Alex would be, like, if you guys were doing pay-per-view on, for certain events, maybe you would be able to have higher profile matches. Like if Mark could say, oh, well, we know that we're going to make X number of dollars on this event if we have Infiltration versus Daigo, the run back, part 3 or whatever. Maybe then we can say, hey, Daigo, hey, Infiltration, here's 10 grand to play this match, win or lose.
Just to tack onto that, we actually thought about what you just talked about years ago, but the thing is, part of like what my team and Level Up has been pushing technology into streaming. So we knew we weren't there yet. We can't do like a 240p pay-per-view and like the stream dropping here and there. We don't know why. We have to perfect our craft. We got to make sure that, we took the biggest hits. Guarantee. We dropped Evil, obviously. Everybody knows that. But we were pretty much the guinea pigs of making sure that this technology is going to move forward. And we shared it. Like everything that we've done from the specialists, the beginning, early stages of Wednesday Night Fights, the things that AJ, like, I got him there, like, just streaming 8 hours a day. All right, did the stream drop? Or how are we going to make this better? And up to, like, SCR 2013 is, like, all right, that's the pinnacle of the direction I think we should go, and Ryan did a great job, and I think maybe from then on I think we can start pushing that type of content, maybe.
So what that means for you guys at home is that we will be able to produce higher quality matches, streamed in better quality with better production, matches that you would not get to see otherwise. Because let's face it, if somebody says, hey, Daigo, hey, Infiltration, here's 50 grand, play this match, because we know that the numbers work, now you guys get to see amazing matches that maybe would never have happened otherwise. It's to the point now where pro players don't want to play each other outside of tournaments. They want to focus, because there's no incentive to do it. But if you can put together events like Jabali, you're putting together your special event before CEO, that's only exhibition matches. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from that and the direction that you're trying to go.
As a lot of you know, I like to just do things, crazy things. For this year example, I'm trying exhibition matches. You can only do them so many times until they do get stale. So I'm trying to introduce new ideas. I don't know if you've seen the CEO trailer for this year, but at the end of it, we have a 3D graphic that pops up saying Fighter Mania. I can't really give too much detail because I'm still working out all the kinks myself.
Oh, come on. There's nobody watching.
Okay, you're
right.
Anyways, All right,
You like to talk, Bailey.
For example, so Fighter Mania, just imagine watching a WrestleMania pay-per-view. So before CO starts on Saturday and Sunday for the tournament, it's a special event Friday night, which will be a 3-hour pay-per-view. I'm working with Seth Mussey. He does all the 3D graphics for EVO and a lot of events, and it's just going to be presented to you in such a great way. My goal isn't really to get the highest stream numbers. I just want to put on an entertaining show. So, for example, I'll tell you one of the main events. It's going to be a 5v5 Marvel East Coast versus West Coast. We got Team East Coast captain Yipes in the back.
IFC Yipes in the back.
Versus Justin Wong in the West Coast. And to throw a little, detail is so before they play their 5v5, the two team captains will play each other a first to 3. The winning captain gets to choose the opponent's order. Ooh. So their orders. So each match is going to have a stipulation like a wrestling. I wish I could do like a ladder match and have them play on top of a ladder, but we all know they have balancing issues, like most fighting games. So just I want to do shows. A lot of all the events are starting to add their own things, like Final Round next week. Be sure you check that out. They're going to have the Battle Royale, which is their big 16 or 8 Marvel 5v5 as well. But I think that's the next step. We have the tournaments, which we must always focus on first, but then we need to add exhibition matches, but we need to start adding twists to them to get more people interested. And if that doesn't work, then I give up. So, but I don't plan on giving up anytime soon.
All right. So I have one last
Florida.
topic, and then we're going to open it up to questions. If you guys hopefully have questions, otherwise we can just pack it up early. So I was going to ask, a lot of people don't live in highly populated cities like LA or New York. Maybe they don't have a big fighting game community that already exists around them, but they watch the streams, they play at home, they love it, they live for it. What can the individual do themselves to contribute? How does somebody get started in all of this, Alex?
Started in regards to the competing or just supporting by watching? There's two.
Either competing at a high level because that's something you're an expert at,
Yeah.
or let's say putting together events, or both.
Okay, so since I'm from the prehistoric era, there was arcades everywhere, and some arcades you still only had 2 people that played your only game, but it all starts with you being curious. If you feel you need to know why you're losing, then you need to keep doing your research. You need to go to new locations. You need to go to the forums. You need to look it up. Go Google. It's the easiest way, and just figure. You're curious. You're constantly searching for the next competition. Maybe you got to go to events. You do. You have to go to events. Online is the other way, but if you just want to be an online monster and be the best on there, that's fine. Deal with the latency or whatever online issue that you're going to deal with. But if you actually want to showcase the true skill in a competitive level at a tournament, then you're going to have to travel to one.
I've gone through this before. It's also, getting people to start playing these games and create your scenes. You gotta, if you're interested and you're in a small rural area, SRK, event hubs, all these different websites, they have regional areas. All you gotta do is go look on there, and somebody's gonna be like, I'm in this area. They might be in the same area as you. Just talk to them. All you gotta do is introduce yourself. Say, hey, I play this game. I play this game too. You're gonna end up wanting to play each other. That's simply how it starts. Like when Vi started with Level Up, I remember they used to do it in their garage, and they had 10 players come. CEO, before I did the first CEO, I had 15-man tournaments, and now, it's grown to the way it has because once they started coming and they had the competition, they would spread the word through Facebook, Twitter, and everything. So it's all about Facebook groups. That's a huge thing now. I have a CEO Florida group, 700 members. 3 years ago, it had 10 members, and they met a person, they shared the group. So you really got to do social media. Even if you don't have that many followers or no friends, once you join a group, it's endless how many people you're going to meet that enjoy the exact same hobby as you. Because at the end of the day, we're playing these because we enjoy it, and we love it, and the same people, or the people that are in this hobby, love it too.
James, what do you think? How can people take responsibility and do more themselves if they want to get started, or maybe even get started in commentary?
Well, as a player, if you want to get to a more competitive level, first of all, it really just takes a lot of dedication. You have to kind of avoid a lot of the excuses. I have people tell me the closest person who lives next to me is an hour away. And I drive an hour and a half every week to go to the Level Up, either Wednesday
Because
night
you're
fights or the
dedicated.
Rubber. Yeah, exactly, because, you know, and it's what I love to do, right? So if it's something you love and your closest opponent is like 2 hours away, then, you know, you guys figure out, trade off. You drive to his place, he drives to your place. You know, find a good competitor, find a good rival. And I've had a lot of people tell me that that's really hard too, that they try to find a rival and like they try to teach their friends and they're just not interested for some reason.
You have to go outside of your circle. I can't think of any like regular friends that I used to have that were like, yeah, let's learn how to play Street Fighter. We're going to really dedicate ourselves. It was through going out and playing and meeting new people.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to dispel, I mean, you can get very good playing online. I mean, Wolfkrone kind of proved that already, right? I mean, he played almost exclusively online, and then he started going to tournaments, and he became really strong. But you know what? Again, he was a dedicated player. He played online a lot. He probably learned from all of his mistakes. He probably studied his matches and stuff. So, you know, it is entirely possible, especially with the way that the netcode is getting better. I mean, we have all these games now that are using GGPO. I mean, shout-outs to Tom and Tony Cannon for creating that. I mean, like Vampire Resurrection just came out, and I tried it online, and it was just, the online was fantastic. I mean, I never felt like I wasn't playing like in an arcade next to somebody. So, you know, the online is getting better and better, and hopefully through time it'll just become even stronger. And at that point, you know, hopefully, even if you can't find competition locally, then you'll be able to get it online. And then, but in the end, just like Alex said, you've got to travel to these events. You've got to try to figure out a way to make it. I mean, obviously, if you can't go to EVO because it's really far, but we have so many events coming up. We have like Texas Showdown coming up. You have GTs coming up, CEOs coming up,
ECT final round.
Yeah, ECT final round, NorCal regionals. I mean, there's something everywhere now. And, you know, there's even one here in Boston that's coming up pretty soon. There's Salt Fest in Utah. There's events everywhere. So it's hard to find. I mean, it's hard not to live in an area where there's really not something that you can figure out a way to get to. So try your best to get to one of these events.
And real quick, I'm actually hosting Salt Fest in Utah. So I'll be out in Utah. If any of you are from around that area, I'll be hosting that event. Thank you.
Great. So I just wanted to say real quick, just get the internet, get a smartphone, follow all of us. We're always promoting the fighting game scene. You'll see something, and you'll learn from that. Go ahead, Spooky.
Okay, so as James touched on, I think that one of the most important things, if you want to be a successful top-level fighting game player, not just someone that comes to the events just for fun, which nothing wrong with that. I know there are many of you that come to events to meet your friends and to hang out and to see other top players play. But if you want to be one of the best, you have to be diligent. You got to sit in training mode. You got to learn your combos. You have to understand how to freestyle. And you have to understand how everything's going. I can tell you for a fact that Mr. IFC Yipes in the back, I've played sets against that man, and that man will not get up until you get up, my friend. When you're done, that's when he finishes playing, okay? And that's how you have to do it if you want to be one of the best. You have to be diligent, keep playing, keep studying. And also one thing that I notice many players don't do is when they lose to someone, they don't ask any questions. Sometimes they get hit by a setup, and in their mind, they're like, hey, was that like an unblockable, or how was I supposed to get out of that? If you ask a player after the match, hey, how was I supposed to get out of that setup? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, do this, and you'll be able to escape. And that's one thing that you should keep in mind. Always train your mind and always be willing to ask questions.
All right, thanks a lot, guys, for the panel. So my question is based on, I've heard a lot about the internet and a lot about streaming, but I really feel that the hype sort of began with the arcades and the local arcades. So my question really is, where do you see the arcade industry in the next 3 to 4 years? And for an upstart person who wants to make an arcade in their local area, do you think that they need like a kind of a family entertainment center to drive business there, or can it really be solely based on arcades for fighting games only to really just drive that hype?
I think that's a great question. I think that the model of putting a coin into a machine to play a game is dead, but people still want to play games in person, so that's not going away. The challenge for somebody trying to put together a business like that is going to be finding the proper business model. The Family Entertainment Center is something that can work. I mean, for example, in the LA area, we have spots like Round One, and they do like bowling and karaoke, and they have pool tables, and they have these really ridiculously expensive arcade games that I don't really think a lot of people play. The other model, the other way you could go is the barcade type of model, where you, such as a place like Insert Coins in Las Vegas. I actually was quite impressed with their setup over there, but I think there's going to be a different model where it's going to be more focused on having it be a place for people to play. They come play. They pay a venue fee and they come play, but then there's also like drinks available. It's like, where would our crowd, like most of you guys here are in your early to mid 20s, like where is the spot for us to hang out that's not exactly like a club where there's like music all the time? Where is the place for our crowd to play games with each other? Like they don't even make arcade games anymore, so it's not even really a viable model.
I mean, the way I always look at it was a long time ago, we had a room and we stuffed as many arcade machines as possible because going to an arcade was about the games. And today, to make an arcade succeed, it's got to be about the social environment. So I don't think it's as important having this dark building with as many arcades crowded together. I think it needs to be more of a social environment. You need to create a place where people gather and have fun. So that's that. With that model, I think the arcade scene can still live on. It just has to be a social environment.
Yes, and just to add to the social thing, the other component of the social thing is how do we get the girls to show up? And whoever can solve that question, that's the $1 million question right there. If you get the girls to show up, it'll be way bigger.
Hello, I'm Nate from Boston. I wanted to ask the panelists a question. I feel that one thing that was overlooked in the panel today was the creators of the fighting games and the quality of the fighting games we play. So my question would be, as leaders of the fighting game community, all of you, how responsible do you feel to the people who create the fighting games to make sure they're both good games mechanically and from a spectator standpoint to prevent a disaster like Street Fighter Cross Tekken from happening again?
What's your shirt size?
I am a size large. Also, CEO is awesome.
Thank you. That's a good question. Who wants to take that?
Oh my God, that could be a whole panel in and of itself.
It's a very heavy question, but I think you can do it.
I mean,
Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, I think that the most important thing that many of the fighting game developers don't do is they don't do enough QA on their own games, and they don't hire the right people that have the right expertise to do QA. Not every top player is a good QA person. Some know how to do the job right, and some don't. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, the perfect example. Basically, the community did QA testing on it because the QA testing they did was insufficient. And to be honest, I like the new version of Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I think it's a lot of fun. But the first version, I agree, was not a fun game for anybody involved. And again, that's a big part of it. I think that especially when you're creating a competitive game, that you need to get people that have expertise in competition.
Now, Spooky, you mentioned that you got to have proper QA testers from the community. But I can think of one game in particular that did it right pretty recently. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Injustice?
So I can't talk too much about this because I actually was not one of the QA testers, but Arturo Sanchez and Nerd Josh, as recently announced, were QA testers for the game. And I don't really want to put anybody on blast by throwing this out there, but there were 2 QA testing calls. The first one had several players there. The second one, I can tell you for a fact, only had 4 people. 2 of them were Arturo and Nerd Josh. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Not everybody has the right type of expertise for this testing, and it's also a grueling, tough job. You don't get paid very well. You sit there for long hours. The programmers like sleeping under their desk trying to like snack on a bag of chips or something. It's really a tough thing. But these guys need to really step up their preparation and their promotion game before releasing their games.
Hi, what's up? Dan from Connecticut. My question is, how do you guys feel that we can bridge the gap between like beginning players and then like semi-pro to pro players? Because I feel like there's a huge gap. Like I try and get my friends to play fighting games and they just get totally overwhelmed at first. They're like, this is just crazy. They go from button masher or serious, but so many people fall off in between that. Like it's kind of hard. I know Marvel, they try to do it with the simple mode and stuff like that, but It just didn't seem to work.
Okay. How we started was, I'll even go back. I even said this in a panel before. When I first invited people to come out, it wasn't called Wednesday Night Fights, and I would assume there would be a lot of people that come to my place and play. Only 2 people came, and they were aspiring, like they actually wanted to get better. But people knew that they didn't want to just get beat up by the top player all the time. So how are we going to build an environment? You have to build an environment of casual play, right? First phase is casual play. This is how the birth of Wednesday Night Fights. And we made a simulator of the tournament section. So we had every casual players play in certain pools, and you can distinguish out of these players who's going to get better. Like the top 2 players from each pool gets moved up to the pro pool, and they get addicted to that. It's free, absolutely free. And there's a lot of incentive in that, because that first pool gets streamed or gets talked about, and everybody else has incentive to move on. And this is free. And after the fact that now I want money involved because I want to throw an official tournament, and then that's how you're going to increase your player skill.
But I think he's talking more about like maybe some of what you're doing with Rushdown TV. I mean, how important do you think shows like Rushdown TV and Ultra Chen are in like raising the overall player skill level?
Well, in tutorial base, I mean, it's hard. I'm gonna tell you, like when I started Rushdown Live, I would expect, because of who I am, there'd be a lot of people getting all this free information. But you can't really force feed people this information. You gotta make them love this game, or like if they love the game already, they're gonna keep playing it. Right. The most important thing is you have to build an environment where they don't feel that they're losing anything. They're just playing for the love of the game. You can't force them to be a top player. They'll become one if they want to.
Yeah, there's also a lot of responsibility from the top players themselves to teach people, because you've been with your group of friends where the best player there just loves winning and he doesn't help anybody and he just beats them up all day. But as the top player, you have to tell people how you're beating them, and then that way they can learn to beat you, because frankly, that's how the strongest players are right now. We tell other people what we're doing so we can become stronger as players.
And I think that's kind of one of the problems, because you get like excited and you're like, oh, this. And they're like,
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, what was your name one more time?
Dan.
Dan? Here, Dan, I'd like to give this to you. Make sure to give it to one of your friends that needs it.
Give the shirt back.
I think we have like 5 more minutes of questions, so let's try to get through as many as we can.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm Carl from Orlando.
Yes.
So I keep up with a lot of different pro events, from League of Legends to fighting game community, so on and so forth. And as I was walking through the PAX floor, my reaction was, oh, it's Curse over there. I love League of Legends. Oh my goodness, Filipino champ. And then I realized that the fighting game community, in addition to the passion we have, I feel like we have some of the best professional personalities. The people, they're just fun to watch do what they do. And my thought was, well, I'm from Orlando, so we don't have this problem there, but how do we get those good personalities across in more personal environments to a lot of other communities to really bolster the excitement and the enthusiasm for our community at large?
I mean, to me, it's always been about the players. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know, like, for the Evo trailers, for the DVD trailers for a long time, I did like 3 or 4 years of them in a row. And every year I did it, I focused more on the players. And that's absolutely what we need to do. Like, so when we did like Aftershock, we did the promotions for all the different people who were involved. So, I mean, it's really up to a lot of us, to create these kind of things like bar fights and specialists and stuff like that to promote these players. Because honestly, like Mark said, it's great to see this fan interaction where people sign sticks and stuff like that. It really is about, creating these personalities. And it's the human interest story that people like. So, I mean, just as content producers, we have to promote these guys as much as possible.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to be seeing a lot more focus on the backstory of the players. Aftershock that Ultra Chen and I Play Winner did last year was such a change from most of the other stuff that we've been seeing in terms of showing the history of the players and having these pregame interviews. With Cross Counter Live specifically, you guys are going to see in the coming weeks little short player bios
that are shot before the show, like way before the show, not even at the studio, where we're going to be asking the players, well, what drives you to play? You know, why do you do this? Why do you put so much into it? We want to bring out the personality, because it's not really the game that like gets people excited. It's watching Filipino champ pop off. You know, it's watching, you know, it's like getting a laugh with Gutex and Mike Ross. Like, that's the stuff. It doesn't really matter like what we're really playing, because it's really more about the people. So I think now, especially with SCR 2013, you know, putting more emphasis on that as well, you're going to see a lot more of that in the future.
Hey, what's up, guys? Irving from Boston. I want to ask about the esports community. There seems to be a lot of animosity between esports, things like Dota, LOL, all those big money tournaments, and the FGC. I know, like FGC, we got something special. We don't want anybody to taint that. But is it healthy to have this animosity, this kind of hatred between esports not having respect for the FGC, FGC not having respect for esports? Is that healthy for the community? Is that going to help the community grow if we kind of like play this close to our chest?
Actually, I'd like to address this question. People are afraid of what they don't understand, and it's on both sides. Obviously, the fighting game community doesn't completely understand how League and Dota and StarCraft all run their events and get all these big numbers and get all these huge sponsors and all this stuff. So when you look at it and you look at how hard we're working, of course it looks confusing. It's like, you know, screw these guys. How'd they have all this stuff? This doesn't even make any sense, right? And it's the same thing on the other side. Those guys look at us and they say, man, those guys, you know, they're loud, they're rowdy, they're rude, they like to side bet. And, you know, they don't really understand our culture. And it's the same thing, and it all goes back to the same point that I made before, which is that both scenes really need to communicate with each other a lot better.
I mean, a lot of people say that. I mean, my stance is always that there's just no reason to blend, because we're very different groups. We are very different. Like I said, the example I always give is you don't get the people who run Wimbledon to run Super Bowl. It's just, they're different audiences. You have different groups. And yeah, we're all video games and stuff like that. We can coexist, but we don't have to necessarily blend. That's the thing, right? So I know a lot of people are always trying to, you know, say, why don't they all combine together? And it's different audiences. We have different backgrounds, we have different histories, so we need to be treated differently, and we need to approach it from different viewpoints.
And I honestly don't think there's been anyone that's been to more esports and fighting game events as I have over the past few years. And I have to say, after seeing what MLG and IPL have done with fighting games, it's obvious that the support from the community and the animosity has affected it in some way. But I'm totally against that kind of stuff. I really want people to show up for fighting games wherever. And I think that kind of stuff really hurts the community. And hopefully more and more people, once these companies start building more fighting game-based events, that they will show up. Because, I mean, they're still fun. They're still fun. It's not as much fun when there's not enough people there.
All right, next question.
Hi, my name's Tyler from Central Mass. I was wondering if there's a way the martial arts community can intertwine with the fighting game community. Because I used to take karate, but then when my dojo closed, I joined MMA gym. And of course, I'm a nerd, so I brought Tekken Tag 2 when I was waiting for a class. And one of the Thai boxing coaches came in, and he was like pissing his pants because he sees like somebody like Bruce Irvin using like authentic Muay Thai on like Ogre. So I don't know. It's a.
Actually, I'd like to answer this one too. Back before I used to stream, I was a boxer for a short amount of time. And during that time, I found that, believe it or not, competitive fighting and competitive fighting games, although obviously it's a physical thing versus playing a game on a system or whatever, it's a lot of the same mentality. And I even completely understand why, after you found that you couldn't do martial arts anymore, that you said, hey, I'm drawn to this competitive fighting game, so on and so forth. So I feel that, yeah, somewhere in that part of their brain, it seems like these things are kind of intertwined.
Yeah. Cool.
Hey, my name's Nuge. I'm from Boston. I don't really know who this is for, but I was wondering, it's like playing in the arcade is way more demanding than playing at console or playing online or something. Do you think that playing in the arcade gives a certain fundamental and ground base of skill that you can't get in console, or do you think it just takes way longer in console to get?
I'll answer this one. Okay. This generation is born with now you're playing online first. There's no arcade, right? So you lose, there's a rematch button. It's okay.
You lose in the arcade, you're going to have to get another quarter, another dollar, and that's a walk of shame. Yeah, I mean, right?
Every match is a money match.
Yeah, every match is a money match. So man up and rush that shit down.
Yeah, I think it
Just
definitely.
real quick, guys. We only have a few more minutes left. Unfortunately, we won't get to everybody's question. So just to let you guys know, we only have 3 minutes left, so we're only going to take a few more. And James and Alex have prizes left. No one else does. So impress them.
I'm giving out more than Mad Cats is.
Hello, my name is Anthony. I'm from Boston. So I have a hard time balancing getting better at fighting games and things like family, work, and college because I always put more time in the latter. So I was wondering if you can give any advice so I can get better at fighting games while still going to college, all that stuff. No?
Don't have kids.
College will be over one day. College will be over one day. Don't worry. One day it'll be over. And then you'll actually have time.
I think
I can't give you advice.
issue
There's no
is-
balance here.
I think the issue is that there's a serious lack of material, like solid training material to give you guys like the most efficient step-by-step process for exactly what you need to do. Because even though, yeah, it does take a lot of time to get good, it shouldn't take that long to become proficient in anything. It's just that most of the ways that people have become proficient was just through sitting there grinding it out. So there's not really a lot of material to do it. But I mean, you know, guys like James Chen and Alex Vai, if these guys talk to these guys, tell them to put together this material in a condensed format, like step-by-step instructions, like kind of like when you're working with a personal trainer, like, oh, like this is how you work out properly. Well, this is how you train properly in fighting games. If you had that, it'd probably be a lot easier.
Yeah, it just basically comes in down to a work smarter.
Yeah, exactly. Work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, you have to maximize all the time that you can put into it.
Cool, thanks.
More question, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is going to be our last question at 6. So.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Right,
You
so-
can hit us up after, of course.
All right, so my name's Damon. I'm from here in Massachusetts, and I got 2 quick ones. I was wondering do you think that if events had more tournaments for some lesser known or obscure games, do you think more bits of community that people didn't know existed might emerge? Like, for example, yesterday here, there was a Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 tournament. Apparently, New England has a DBZ scene that I didn't know happened, because there was some pretty good competition there.
What did you say? Budokai 3?
Yep.
That's actually the most competitive Dragon Ball Z game, at least
Yeah, I
on
heard
PS2.
that was like
yeah.
the one tournament viable one. But yeah, I don't know if you think that maybe some hidden community parts might emerge if more events did that.
You should definitely browse more of the forums, and find like the guys in the community that play those types of games. If you have an old game that you think, oh man, nobody's played that game, I promise you, somebody's played that game before. So just look out. It's out there, definitely.
Yep. And then my other one's a quick one for Grutex. Now tomorrow is the last day in the Expo Hall. You want to play some dive kick?
No, I mean, every time I haven't played it. I mean, there's always a big line. If you want to pull me up to the front, I'll try it.
It's a great game.
Why am I
great,
dodging? Dude,
great
send me a
game.
copy. Send me a copy. Did you send me a copy? No.
I exposed 13 frauds today, beat the pro in dive kick.
Really?
But to answer his first question, because I have a really good answer to that, as organizers, we can only have so many games at once in an event. We do what we're familiar with. We know what the biggest draws are. We need the players from those smaller communities to have a leader step up and go, hey, I want to help you out. Let me bring this game to your event and see how it goes. We are going to be very open-minded and give you the space you need. And if you bring a crowd and we see there's a lot of interest in it, we're going to become interested in it too. Because every time a new game comes out, Vi is the first one grinding it out, playing the game. So, but it's up to the community members to step up and come to an event and go, I play this game. I know quite a few people that enjoy it. Let's give it a shot. We'll take it from there.
Great, thanks guys.
All right. Sweet, I didn't even have to say anything. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here. We really appreciate it. Alex Vai, Alex Jabali, James Chen, Mark Mann, and Team Spooky. Follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much.